Welcome, everybody, Psychoturks Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stewart, and I'm joined today with a special guest, Dave Dalton. Dave joining me for what is going to be the last time. Yeah, so we're going to bid farewell to Dave.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's a little bit of a bittersweet episode, but wanted to share with you guys some new things that are going on with Dave. Dave,
Yeah.
enlighten us. Let us know what's going on, buddy.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so yeah, you're right. It's bittersweet. It's sad for me. But yeah, well, I want to say for the last time, I'm hoping that maybe I could do a guest appearance. Hopefully I haven't, burned a bridge,
Yeah,
Mike.
no, there's no
I
no
hope I
bridge
didn't
burning.
shit on your cornflakes too much. I mean,
No, there's no bridge burning for sure. And I've told you before, man, I'm rooting for you. I want you to be happy and successful and you got this new responsibility and I know it's a lot to take on so yeah, I'm pulling for you, man.
yeah, and that's for anyone that listening, and anyone who cares. I mean, just so that we're clear on as to why I'm stepping back. Yes, I think it's known and everyone knows that I have taken on a new position with a bike company. Well, let's just say at Trek Bikes. Sorry, Mike.
Yes.
Trek Bikes, managing one of their stores. And I'm thrilled forced to be back in the bike business. But it's demanding right now. And that, after it, I got to put more energy into that, in addition to which, most of my energy into that. But in addition to this, long before the podcast, I'm part of a cycling club and I'm very involved in that cycling club. And right now we're in the midst of doing a pretty big charity event. And this is about causes that are near and dear to my heart. And right now I just feel like peanut butter, just stretched way too thin. And so as painful as it is, because you're probably the only thing better than working in a bike shop is getting on a Zoom with one of your best friends and talking about bikes. So, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't get much better than that. And I can't believe that I'm saying it's become a burden. It's just too much time. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we try to split responsibilities. I feel like the responsibilities have been split pretty evenly, but I do understand that, stuff when there are changes in your life and you're taking on a new position, there's a lot of stress that comes with that. And and I know you want to do the best job you can.
yeah, and
Uh,
that's it. You know me, like you know how I beat myself up with my writing, right? If I'm not
mhm.
doing it at a certain level, then I start getting down on myself. And if I can't do this 100%, then I start beating myself up, right? Even though we do it for fun and it's a labor of love, if I can't search out more guests and if I can't do more to promote it, it bothers me. And I feel like I know you'll say I'm not, but I feel like I'm letting you down. I feel like I'm letting the listeners down and feel like I'm letting the guests down. If I don't, you have a guest that's on that is promoting a great cause or a great product and, all I get around to do is posting it on Instagram, then, I feel like I should do more and I just can't right now. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't ever feel that way, but
mm,
but yeah, it's trying to manage everything. I know it can be stressful because we set these timelines for doing stuff and we record on Mondays and we drop them on Thursdays and a lot needs to happen on these specific days in order to make all that happen and if you're running a little bit behind or life gets in the way, it can add a lot of stress when you know that you have this deadline that you don't have to make it, but the goal is to make it every week, and we've been pretty consistent with that. So, and
yeah.
I could totally relate.
Newsflash to our listeners. We don't have a production staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have editors. And I listened the other day.
Nothing.
I there's a podcast I listened to. Well, it was through Crooked Media,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of good stuff, right? And I was listening to one going into this shop the other day, and I was on my scooter, right? So when you're on your scooter, you can't control. Yeah, I can't control volume. I can't, not like I'm in my car. Can't take the handle. And the credits were so fucking long on this thing. Our writers are, our editors are,
Oh
our
my
production
gosh.
staff, thanks to our social media team. And I'm like, we don't have that.
Definitely. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a
it was
two-man
funny.
show is what it
I
is.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
And
So
I'm not great with editing. But like if I have to edit something out, I'm in deep trouble.
yeah.
That is some deep dark water that I don't never want to go to. And so yeah, so that it kind of is what it is. And I think that, I don't personally, I do like candid conversation as opposed to, uh, canned, edited. It could be an opinion of convenience also. I'm aware of that. But, when you listen to something that's really overly produced, um, I don't know, it can be a bit of a turnoff.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas at
Yeah.
least with us, you're getting the conversation in its entirety because
Yeah.
I'm not chopping it up and doing anything with it,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Yeah.
But look, I don't. I mean, do we hear what we want to hear, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I I've never heard anyone say that's it's a bad format, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like we have a million listeners though, so maybe the sample pool isn't that great. But there's I have a great team at the shop I'm working at, and I don't know how he found us, but one of my mechanics, or I should say that's the service manager there, who's very excellent technician and a great guy.
What's his name?
Um, Corey Williams.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Good, solid guy and great, has been super supportive of me coming in, but I don't know how he found it, but he listens to the podcast, and he says it's great, it's really good,
Yeah.
right? So, I do think that Lon Baker, the format, I think works, right? It's
Yeah.
not overly produced. So,
Yeah. And I think just bringing these industry people, their stories to light, each week, I think I mean, it's fun. That's why I do it. And it is cool because there's a lot of great people in the bike business, and their origin stories are unique and interesting, and they're all splintered off in all these different directions of the different niches within our sport, and so it is cool,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie,
bringing these things.
that's one of the things that I'm gonna miss. Again, I like bringing this stuff to light, as you said,
Hmm.
but I mean, when I think of the guests that we've had on, Anna Hicks, Yuri, Jack Thompson, ultra cyclists, right? I
Yeah,
mean, these are people that, like if yeah, shoot them a text or shoot them a message or congratulate them something, they're responding, right? And it's been, I'm not going to say that we're buds. I don't think I'm getting invited to their Christmas party, but it's great that we built relationships with these people and contacts within the industry. And yeah, I mean, it's for no other reason that there's a shared interest of cycling. It'll be I'll be bummed not to have these guests back on, or even to meet some of the new people that I'm sure you'll have on, because we've had some legends, right?
yeah, yeah, and it's a good community of guests that we've built, and our listeners. So yeah, we'll just keep on keeping on. I did talk with.
Yeah,
It's funny how this store in Castro Valley has been pretty central in my life for a lot of years.
yeah,
It was Eden Bicycles before it was a Trek bicycle store. Eden was one of the first ever giant partner stores in the country. with the owner, Chris Padavana. And Chris and
Love
I,
legends.
yeah,
Yeah.
worked together for years. Um, and obviously there was a lot of sour grapes when he sold out. Not so much that he sold out. I was happy that he was able to move on with life and retire, get out of it, as that's what he wanted to do. But to have Trek go in there and then just boot our brand, and we'd been in that community for 15 years and had the strongest presence in that community. It was a great move by Trek, strategically a great
Yeah.
move. And
Yeah.
so but then here we are in the podcast, and now
They're
you
robbing you of something
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. My co-host now has got to go on to go manage this store, and then I don't know if you know Dave, but Chris has agreed to come on as the co-host. So starting next week, Chris Padavana will be the co-host, and Chris Padavana, for those that don't know, is the guy who founded Eden Bicycles. And oh, look at this smoochy time on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love you,
Um,
babe.
Bye, Mike.
hi, Sue.
Have a great day.
Uh,
So he
so
is coming on full time.
he's gonna come on
Yeah.
and hopefully, yeah, hopefully fill your role. We'll see, So but yeah, Chris and I have had this long-standing relationship, and it all centers around the building. A lot of it centers around the building that you're now occupying as the store manager. It's just funny how
Well,
how
I
things
think
intersect sometimes.
I he had texted me and wanted to talk to me about it. I think we are going to hook up today. Didn't know he had fully committed, and I think it's awesome. I mean, being in that store now. I mean, again, there's a steady stream of giant bikes that come in for repairs, and
Yeah,
it's all like, oh, where's Chris? And or yeah, I've been coming here since before it was Chris. I mean, so he really did have a foundation, built a real foundation in that community.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, the depth of his knowledge for the industry, I think it's going to be huge for the podcast. It's going to be huge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He'll bring something different for sure. But yeah, it's when they talk about before Eden, um, there was it was originally Bicycle Village. Uh, the shopping center was called
Shopping
the
center, yeah,
Castro
yeah,
Village, I think it is. But it was called Bicycle Village, and Chris was running that store. And then the owner was an absentee owner, tried to sell it to Chris. Chris wasn't ready to buy it. And then somebody you may know, Mike Ralph. Do you know him?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He
yeah.
was, uh-huh.
Mike Ralph bought it.
Norco. He was a Norco rep for a while, and now he's out of the industry, but I think yes. Okay. Yeah, I know him. Okay.
Yeah, he's still involved. I know he's working with the bike park here in Livermore, and but I think he works for a moto company now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but Mike Ralph bought the store and changed the name from Bicycle Village to Ace Bicycle Supply, which is kind of a funny name for a bike shop.
Yeah.
But Mike he's really pretty brilliant about marketing and just his approach to find a niche, to do something different, to get attention. And he did that with the store. But not just the name, but how he marketed the store. He was really an early adopter of social media, and he did a bunch of different fun campaigns. Um, and but then ultimately, yeah, and then Chris was like bouncing around the Bay Area, working at these different bike shops, either managing or doing service manager work. And then yeah, he ended up going back and buying it from Mike. And then
I didn't
Mike
know
became,
I didn't know there was that step in there
yeah,
with Mike Ralph. I didn't know that.
I want to say it was like maybe 3 or 4 years. Uh, with Mike in there. And then Chris took it back over, changed the name to Eden Bicycles, and then We quickly partnered up. We had this new program for a giant partner store, and he was like a beta. So we didn't even have the program really. It was just we had this idea, and we needed a quality retailer to work with. And yeah, Chris fit the bill, and yeah, it worked out really well for both parties for a lot of years. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So for you now, you're of course you had retail, you sold Giants, you sold against Trek for a lot of years. They were at
No, I
Cal
didn't. No, I didn't.
Peddler. Yes, yes, you did. So what's it like now, having to kind of flip the script a little bit at retail? I mean, obviously, Trek's a great company, they make great bikes. What what are you finding just slinging them as opposed to slinging giants all those years?
Um, yeah, I mean, certainly, uh, you know, Trek Trek has a name, right? It's clearly a big name, and even I think more so for non-cyclists, they know the Trek brand, right? Um, it is an interesting mix, but there's so many parallels between all the big brands, Specialized, Giant, Trek, right? The road bike, the race bike, the endurance bike, the all mountain bike, all mountain bike, the enduro bike. There's just a lot of, even in the casual world, there's so many parallels.
Mhm.
I will say, and I'm not saying that Giant um, wouldn't be this way, but I will say uh, they're dialed in their processes. They're so dialed in their processes that their systems, the way they're linked together, their commitment to customer support, and again, I felt this way anyway, so that's why it's been a bit of there's a lot of parallels in how I ran 615 as an independent dealer. And I know that Giant stood behind their products and their customers real well, like, the consumer confidence on the type thing, right?
Yeah,
But they're super, super um, customer focused. But yeah, it's so dialed in terms of their systems. Like, when you when you order something, the way all their systems are integrated. Um, I'm on now video 100 or something of their training processes, and
mhm,
they've taught me a lot. I think in retrospect, if there's I mean, there's a lot of things I did wrong with 615, but a lot of things, that one of them is, I don't think I did a fantastic job of merchandising, a simple thing like, one of their rules is, you have a helmet on the shelf, the strap shouldn't be visible, well, that's not one of the things I focused on. And when I came in at 6:15 in the morning, at 6:15, but I've learned a tremendous amount. I don't know that it necessarily would have changed the outcome of 6:15, but I've learned a tremendous amount.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if I'm answering the question right, but I'm duly impressed with their operations, um, and as well with their commitment to customer support and care. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
um, it is one of the things that I feel like I have to do and do a better job is I've got to integrate myself into the Castro Valley community a little bit, right? It was easy at 615 because this is where I lived and broke bread, and the people that I rode with were a lot of my customers, and I don't know Castro Valley that well, right? So
Yeah,
I gotta figure out a way to get myself integrated into the community so that we can do some of the things that I think made 615 successful. A group ride.
yeah, yeah. I could see where you could, coordinate where you could still still keep your group together, maybe start earlier in Castro Valley and then drop down into Danville. That's a real popular route for people in Castro Valley. That a lot of people will make their way to Danville through
Well,
some of
I
those back
even thinking
canyons.
bigger than that, one of the things that I'm thinking about the other night, I is that even if I continued, I know it'd be great to start at a truck location, but even if I started at the same location that we do, but opened it up to all the truck stores in the area, right? I mean, because that means where I am now is equidistant to Alamo, Dublin, Livermore, and I know I get riders from those areas, so I could, that's a way to get not even change the location and still promote that community, right?
Mhm. Right.
But that is it's an interesting challenge. It's an interesting thing you say that, right? Is it it is the interesting thing about Castro Valley is finding the routes. And maybe I just don't know the area that well.
Mhm.
And there's some guys I should talk to that live down there, but Redwood Road, I mean, of course, was my favorite ride, but it's closed,
Mhm.
you know?
Yep.
So, whereas, Danville, you can go in so many different directions. So I don't know what my options, I haven't figured out what the options are for planning routes. I just
Yeah.
wish fucking Redwood Road was open.
Yeah. What's the timeline? Do you know?
I say like a year.
Oh,
They're still
wow.
saying like a year.
Right.
So I guess they had planned it on opening a while ago, and then Um, I guess something went wrong. It slid. The thing slid. Now there's even discussion about potentially a bridge.
Oh,
Because have you seen this hole?
I haven't seen it.
It's
Mm-mm.
massive. It's a
Oh,
massive sinkhole. Yeah,
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you'll figure it out. Our guy Chris, you know,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
knows that area as good as anybody,
No,
especially as a
yeah. There's a lot
cyclist.
of riders that come over to do hop that come from the Castro Valley area. So I'll figure it out. But
Hmm.
right now I'm just kind of drinking from a fire hose.
You think you'd be, you could wrap Berkeley, you got to go the other way, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because it is kind of a central hub of the Bay, when you think of Castro Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yes.
I've been having some fun. Saturdays I'll ride, just go down to Dublin Grade and ride in. So that's 20 miles. And then on Sundays we open a little bit later. So I'll do a big ride. I went down Palmaris and then rode into the shop.
Hmm.
Yesterday I was on my way. I was going to go up to South Gate, then down North Gate, and then ride in and hit a pothole and just shit, blew out a tire on the Athenian school. So watch out for the pothole, folks. It's bad.
Yeah, what
Jesus,
what tires are you running?
you're the Victorias that you turned me on to.
Uh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
they're and they ride amazing, but they are
yeah.
very sensitive tires.
Well, I'm not going to even go there because you'll be.
Yeah.
Well, I will go there. I'm not tubeless, and I pinched the tube. I pinched the
Oh,
tube.
Jesus, Dave, not tubeless?
Yeah.
Come on.
Boom. Boom.
Yeah, I've ridden there a bunch of times for different sales and whatnot that they've had there. So talk a little bit about like, okay, so you're coming in as a store manager. What kind of is it all video training or did they have like any like in-person stuff that they did with you or?
Oh yeah, no, they're great. They used to fly you out. I'm actually going out to Waterloo
Mhm.
in November. And they used to do they'd fly you out to Waterloo and you'd go through a thing of training. But I think, as I understand it, COVID, like everything else, kind of put the brakes on that program. So what they do is they have certain managers that have been at it for a while and are pretty dialed, and they'll buddy you up with that. And I spent a couple of days in other local stores, shadowing the store manager in Dublin and Alamo, and walking through their processes. They have a guided sales process that they're very. That's the other thing. Like a real methodology for training rides, demo rides, a methodology for the guided sales process. And so they buddy you up with those managers. And then I still to this day have this, I'm a month into it, but I still have a weekly call with my, my the manager that has been teaching me. And then yeah, these videos that they have, it speaks to how dialed they are. I'm not sure how many there are, but I haven't even touched the surface. And I probably watched 100 videos, and in that brain, it's all about sales. It's about building the bikes. It's about understanding parts of the bike. It's about, well, as I said, their sales process, their mission, and all that. So you go through this, and it's good. I thought I knew a lot. I know more. It's just another example of how they're dialed.
Yeah,
So they do rely on you to tap into your own expertise, but that's again partnering you with a guy who is designated for that area to train new managers as they come on. So
right.
the guy's name is Joe. He's out of Dublin. He runs a great ship, and he's been a good mentor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That sounds similar to like the GRA stuff that we do. We have the branding pieces, and then we have the stuff that's more driven towards the shop, and then we have stuff that's more driven towards sales, and then there's back end stuff too to help with
are
running
you
the
guys
business.
do you still hold the meetings down in do you fly the dealers down there? Do you have those meetings regularly?
We have them every year in the off season. So October through February, we have in-person GRA modules, and then we have the online thing has just gone bananas. They've got, man, so many new modules. Yeah, it's a big part of my week. Every week I'm watching videos and trying to
Oh,
stay up on it.
you're doing it as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
counting right now. That's 117. Yeah, I'm gonna say well, oh, forget it. I'm still tabbing through. So we're talking hundreds of these things because I'm on Trek U right now,
Okay.
doing it, and it's
Is that the
keep rolling.
same? Is that the same stuff that they have all the bike shop employees working off of, or is it separate for managers and then everything else?
There's different modules for, there's merchandising, there's, yeah, managers. It's not like doing the service one now, but it's not like, uh, yeah, it's not like I touch many bikes in there. I build if I have to and whatnot, but, um, I'm sure I could skip through that and like learn more about their specifics of their product, like their road category
Hmm.
or something, just to learn the nuances of each one of their products. But um, but yeah, it's broken up into uh, different, as I say, skill sets.
Hmm.
So
Now, with these stores, does the manager or the staff have do they have ultimate say on how this stuff is being displayed within the store and where the bikes go versus where the equipment goes, or is there
I
like a
I
template that
think
you're given?
yeah, I think that they like Giant. You guys have some, when went down there, you had some very specific things about how bikes should be positioned and where they should be positioned. And
Yeah.
they do give you a template for that. Um, and they do have uh it's set up to follow their sales process, but yeah, there's a fair amount of flexibility. They make it very clear you're the owner, right? You're the owner of that store.
Okay.
Here's the tools, and we're the experts in because they're really good at retailing.
Sure.
And here's what the store should look like, and here's um but they do stay on you, right? One of their big things is they don't ever want to see a, a slot empty in your rack. Build a bike, get it in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's something at 6:15. You get me and Dan, we got busy, we didn't build a bike, we had two empty slots. Well, it only makes sense. You can't sell it if he's not on the floor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
So,
Each one of
you
those
know,
slots is very expensive, and
yep,
to have it empty, you're just missing an opportunity there for sure.
yeah. But if
Yeah,
I could segue away, because it's something that'll be near and dear to your heart, another thing
yeah.
I do like about Trek is that they are, um, they're obviously it's Trek, but they do. One of their sayings is, "We want to be I mean, the customer's new favorite bike shop." So they have a real local flair.
Hmm.
And they're a huge sponsor, and I'm going to spend my Sunday, October 6th. They're a huge sponsor of the Mount Diablo Challenge.
Yeah. They were there
So
last year, I remember.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's big. It's real big. And I mean, they've been planning this for a long time, and they got techs going over there. I'll be there. It's pretty much every manager in the area will be there, and they'll have techs along the way to provide support. Um, and I bring that up just because it is. Well, I love to talk about the challenge. I think my only disappointment, well, it's funny. They say, "Dave, will you go work the challenge?" I said, "Oh, that means I can't ride it." And I haven't ridden it in 10 years, but it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but, but uh, it just, I think, speaks to the fact that even though they are, if you will, a big company, they want a local feel. They want a local feel and flair. And
Hmm.
so, I think there, will be like I've been approached. I'll probably be supporting like the Cinderella ride, and they're doing the Diablo challenge, and so they really do want to get that local flair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
which
And
which is really
certainly
appealing to me.
it was something I was pretty critical on the stores in general of when after the Eden thing, after the buyout of Eden, I went in there and there was a thing on the wall about community. And yeah, I was kind of critical about that. But I do see Trek at events and they are sponsoring racing and riding and
Yeah.
so you know
I
uh
mean,
I was a
I
little off base in my it might have been a little sour grapes also, but also I wasn't aware at the time that they were involved in a lot of these local community events. We talk a lot on this podcast about rodeo cross, and I know they're out there at rodeo cross.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
and look, I mean, it's a natural reaction, right? Of anyone that,
Hmm.
I'm sure there's a lot of customers, and well, some people have come in the shop that are old, that loved Chris and loved Eden, and that,
Sure.
they'll quip the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I have no doubt that, I mean, I'm incredibly charming and I'm incredibly smart about bikes, but I have no doubt that that's part of the reason they brought me on, is because of that,
Right.
building that community. And matter of fact, there's another example. Like they are supporters of the La Miranda Cycling Club, the
Hmm.
local La Miranda team. They're a sponsor of that team, and they've got me on the board,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Which is to work with that. So I think that that's what they're doing. I just think it's also incumbent upon the people in the stores. You know, there's one guy that I'm kind of uh, mentoring, I think, a little bit to become a store manager. He's a smart guy, but my message to him would be just that. It's to steal a line from Lance Armstrong. It's not just about the bike, right?
Hmm.
You're only unless you integrate yourself to the community, they're not going to give that feel, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to just sling a bike. That's a missed opportunity. You got to be that resource and you want to be out there supporting cyclists. I mean,
yeah,
that's really what the bike shop brings to the marketplace, especially when you look at this influx of these brands that they just sell online. And you have to be kind of a lone wolf kind of a person to buy a bike that way, uh, because you're basically getting all your information off of a website and then making a decision without someone really talking you through the process. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in retail uh, where somebody will come in and ask for something, and then you talk to them and then you realize like, oh, they're asking for the wrong thing, that based on how they want to ride, what their overall, flexibility, fitness level, whatever it is. They just come in with this idea that's a little off center, and without that guidance, they could end up on the wrong item and then end up not riding a bike at all because it's not the experience that they, either they can't
Right.
deal with the fit or
Right.
whatever. So, um, yeah, so that's something that we're all fighting at the bike end at the bike shop level. During COVID, people's buying habits really, I mean, the internet was not exactly a secret prior to COVID,
Right.
but it
Right.
just seemed like everyone just got really comfortable with buying things online, and in many cases, things that they would have never bought online pre-COVID, and it becomes normalized. And but I see it, I talked to a guy at uh, the Hammer Road Rally who bought a Canyon bike that was the wrong bike for him. It was undersized and too aggressive, and but he was there doing the road rally, so he was giving it an honest effort, but he was talking about the need for a different type of bike. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah.
a couple of things. I mean, first of all, that group is, there are a whole bunch of other cyclists that are, or people that want to ride, that are in need of, and they understand that they need help and guidance, right? But and I've told this story a million times, but to your point about the online versus that, it's the only way that a bike shop is going to differentiate itself. And this is why, and I'll bring it back to Trek in a second. I told you, I've told the story before, but um, my first IBD meeting I went to when I opened 615, we were in Arizona or somewhere. And I sat in a room and listened to these guys, and they're my peers, but they were the independent bike dealers, and all they could do was bitch at the panel. The guy from Giro was up there, and I think the guy from Electra Bikes was up there, and all they could do was bitch about the internet was going to be the death of their business.
Mhm.
And I shared the story, but the one guy, I forget his name, but he was from Electra at the time, or had left like Electra Bikes, and he just yelled into the microphone, chocolate chip cookies. And the room went fucking silent, right? Well, take it from one of the top retailers in the world, Wegmans grocery store, right? They position a woman at the front door who gives out chocolate chip cookies so that next time mom has to go grocery shopping, the kids go, can we go to Wegmans? Can we go to Wegmans? And
Uh-huh.
that's what he's going to do. And what are you doing to differentiate yourself from the internet and add value is what the point he was making. And Trek will say that, right? Their thing is they say that your engagement with the customer starts before they walk in the store. If you see them you see them in the parking lot, they want you to run out there and do you need help with the bike? Can I help you bring that in? Right.
Hmm.
And if you don't do that, their rule is 10 seconds or 10 steps, you know, engage them right within that time frame. And if you think about that, that's the kind of stuff that obviously they can't get that online, right?
Hmm.
People aren't going to get that online,
Right.
and I think that's the only way to really, that's why I used to have muffins and coffee in the morning, right?
Hmm.
And we've got a seating area with water and coffee and the whole bit, so it's just something that
Yeah, that was part of how you ran it
it's
at 615 also.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you always
but
had
it
that
is
little,
it's incumbent upon I mean, the internet's not going to go away.
right,
It's this
right.
is not going to go away. So
No.
how do we distinguish ourselves? So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
uh,
Yeah, there is a lot of information there. I think the thing too, a lot of people that have been around cycling for a while or been riding for a long time, they feel like they know what they need, and they think they can just go look at some geometry tables and pick a bike based on that. But there's a lot
yeah,
more to it.
there's a small percentage of people that are going to they're going to get it 100% right.
Hmm.
A small percentage, and um, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well,
but
hopefully you get them on their next purchase
yeah,
when they realize they've got the wrong thing. Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're not familiar with the category, there's a guy that, I was kind of upset at 6:15 when he didn't buy a road bike from me, you
Hmm.
know, but he was comfortable in that category. He came back and bought a gravel bike from me, right? Because he
Yeah.
wasn't comfortable in that category and he needed that kind of guidance.
Right.
And I think the same thing was true for a lot of people that bought a mountain bike for me or mountain bikers, but wanted to buy a road bike or vice versa. When they're not comfortable in that category, then,
Sure.
they'll turn to you.
Sure. Okay. Well, when we first got on here, you mentioned you're working on this big project, big ride project. What you want to talk about that a little bit?
I
And
do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I commend the president of the club I'm on, which is Pedal Project Riding for Good. That it 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 was very difficult for to go out and get find someone to sponsor the team, right? We've been lucky for years that we had some big software companies because the CEO happened to be a rider as well, and he threw a lot of money at the club, but he's not participating anymore. And so there wasn't, we considered putting a lot of effort into that. But then, I think I had some influence over him and said, it's that kind of stuff is meaningless. Let's do something with meaning. And so instead of going out and seeking for money, we approached three local charities, um, or nonprofits, I should say. The Crayon Initiative, which is pretty awesome. Uh, they actually collect old crayons, um, melt them down, and reshape them into crayons that are easier for kids to hold. And then they give them to kids that are have long hospital stays so they could it's an amazing so kids that are terminally ill or under care and staying in a hospital for long periods of time, they send these crayons out to them. So huge project, um, and a great cause. The Contra Costa Family Justice Center, which is for domestic abuse and human trafficking in Contra Costa County. And then one that's very near and dear to my heart, the Discovery Counseling Center um, of San Ramon, which does um, all kinds of counseling services, but one of the big ones is mental health. And that's for a number of reasons is very near and dear to my heart, getting people to get help, for anxiety, depression, etc. Anyways, so we approached these guys, and now instead of taking money for them, we've got them on our jerseys, and then we hold events to raise money for them. And so on October 13th, so the week after the challenge, we are doing rides, I should say, 4 rides leaving out of Sycamore Valley Park. And all proceeds will we'll split the proceeds and go to these three nonprofits. So, like rides that I've run in the past, we've got 5 routes actually. So it's $75 to register. We'll launch from that park, Sycamore Valley Park. There's a 75-mile route, 55-mile route, 35-mile route, and 20-mile route. So there's something for everybody. Going to be fully supported. So we'll have SAG out on the route, and then at least one spot on the route, we're going to have rest. We'll have 2 rest stops where people can, fuel up and get stuff, and then we're going to have a party afterwards. And as I said, it's only $75, but our goal is to get 100 people to show up and take those proceeds and donate them to these nonprofits. So,
Oh,
um, yeah, so it's going to be a fun event, but it's rewarding, right? It's rewarding to put something together, and it's rewarding to see how appreciative these organizations are for just any amount of money. Like I asked them one time, I said, if we hold an event and we are only raised $100, would you be happy? With that, they said we'd be happy with 25. you
Right,
know,
right.
so
Yeah,
because $25 can get, you know,
sure.
uh, I think the last event we did, one of the organizations got $800. And that the Contra Costa Family Justice Center, that sent a kid away to a camp for like a week. So we think it's small dollars, but the payout is really big, you
Yeah,
know.
and they, they're as a nonprofit, I mean, there's not a lot of people out there that are working to raise money for them, I mean,
Right.
it's a bit, and anytime you can, just contribute like that, you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah.
I know that's
'Cause,
something near and dear.
yeah, these guys have figured out how to make a little money go a long way. And I mean, I think we've done, we had Phil Guyman on and he's got his Phil's cookies, right?
Yeah,
Well, um, a dollar from every one of his bags of cookies goes to No Kid Hungry, right?
right.
A dollar. And
Yeah,
they say that that provides 10 meals,
yeah.
right? I mean, like, Jesus,
One
and that's the
dollar.
same, yeah. And
Yeah,
that's the same thing with these organizations, is doesn't take much money and it goes a long way. So anyways, if you guys are out there, um, you can, there's on my Instagram page this morning and my Facebook page this morning, there's a link to register. And if you can't ride, you can donate and no doubt, no amount is too small, but we'd love to have you out for a ride. Just pray for good weather.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, good stuff,
Yeah.
man. Awesome. Just
All right.
all right.
Anything
Well,
else?
listen, yeah. Uh, yeah, man, I've enjoyed our time working together. I feel like, yeah, I mean, obviously we're always going to be friends, but it's like, we used to see each other all the time with work,
Now,
and
I
then,
know
that ended, and then we
we had the
still had
Dirty
our
Summit.
Mondays, and then the
Yeah.
Mondays thing kind of dried up, and then we had the podcast, and now the podcast is drying up. So,
Uh,
we'll just keep trying to figure out ways to make that connection, for
yeah.
sure,
And I'd love to come back as a guest sometime if Chris Padavana's out doing his four-wheeling or out camping somewhere and doesn't have cell service, let me know. I'd love to jump back on and
Yeah, there's no
pitch in.
freaking way. You're not coming back on. You represent
Uh,
Trek now. It's over, Dave. It's been nice knowing you, and
yeah.
just
You
don't
won't,
let
you won't want, you're
don't
not going to
get
want to ride with me anyways when I get my new checkpoint.
oh brother.
You
Uh,
should see the badass Madonna I'm gonna buy. Oh my God. It's the Lido Trek. Yeah, listen to it. But
yeah,
I didn't
there's no
like the,
mistaking what brand it is. I'll tell you that.
I
Those bikes
know,
and
but
that down tube, man. Woo.
I looked at that.
Ay,
I looked at
ay.
the picture and I was like, I don't know, man. That's kind of bright. And then we brought one in the shop. I'm like, I gotta have it. So you won't miss me out on the road. That's for
Dude, that
sure.
Trek logo is just insane on the down tube.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
but whatever. Hey, they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah.
They got a good chunk of market share and um yeah, but
Dirty
yeah,
Summit on a checkpoint. I'll call you when it's built.
all right. Well, I feel weird wishing you success because you're in direct competition to me
Yeah.
and the brand that I represent, but
Yeah.
I'm always rooting for you and I'm sure our audience is as well. So,
And you can never
uh
have enough friends in the industry. We all need each other. So,
yeah. Yeah. All right,
all right,
Dave.
brother.
With that, we're going to send it off.
All right.
It was
I
nice
will
knowing you.
talk to you. Say it. Yeah. Yeah. Nice knowing you.
All right.
See you later, man.
All right. Take care.